How you learn yourself. Yeah, yourself. Yeah. Okay, so can we have some volunteers and just sharing with us how they learn, what the steps it is that they go through to learn? Hey guys, if we can just come back, please. Could I have any volunteers to share how it is that they learn, what the process it is that they go through? Yeah? Got one person here.
So the first step is I Google it. I Google
Okay.
the approach I have, and after that I truly do sources, references, and after that I gather ideas. After that, further ideas and development, and after that I check the work.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, so.
This will start with interest, first of all, interest, that is motivation. Then it will go with the environment, that how is the place, then availability of time, feasibility, affordable or not. Okay. Then after that it will go with the on the student itself about the responsibility. Okay, and he is able to be responsible, he is able to show his dedication.
Yeah.
Then after that he needs some guidance also, somebody to guide it. So in this
Okay.
we can have a teacher or net, any resources.
Okay. But can I just ask, how is it that you yourself individually learns?
Yes, I will take help, guidance.
Okay.
Someone and
So does that mean that you'll seek someone who's maybe an expert in the area?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so then because I want to be perfect, it should be good learning.
Okay.
So that's why I want a good guidance.
So once you've sought guidance from an expert in the area, what's the next step? What do you do after that?
Commitment, I will show commitment to them.
Okay.
Okay, and I will try to bring that change in me.
Okay. And then do you read anything?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Reading, that will be my responsibilities, dedication.
Okay.
That I will do. I will read by my own, and then only I will seek help.
Okay. Okay.
So, and in this way I will reach my goal. I will learn something.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Anyone else this side of the room? Yeah. Okay, here. And then we'll come to.
So maybe first thing I will do, I will try to find the main study main reading. That's
Okay.
what we can do. Then I'll do my reading. After doing my reading, I'll choose the resources that I'm going to study from. Then I will devote some time for this specific topic I'm going to study. After that, I'll try to memorize it and revise it.
Okay.
If there is an experiment that I can do that makes me like have a skill or something, I'll do that.
Okay.
Then I revise for sure. Finally, I summarize what I learned.
Okay. Great. Thank you. And then can we pass over here, please?
If
the good sources of information. That's the second point. The third one, I should gather the information.
Okay.
Before, I should develop the ideas, and finally, I can share information with others.
Okay. And is there any, when you're searching for information, any type of information that you like? Is it text? Is it audio? Is it video?
Yeah, you should choose the type of information.
Okay. And is there any that you prefer more than the other?
No, I should check. It depends on the project.
Okay, so yeah, it depends on the subject. Okay, okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to go this side of the room and see if there's anyone who wants to share. Yeah, this gentleman here.
How to learn is a big question. You should actually distinguish between the level of the person who's seeking for information or to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If you are actually newly graduated from university, or if you are a student at the university, it's different from academic staff like us. So we as academic staff, we teach the other, but not that meaning we have full of the knowledge and we have a comprehensive knowledge. No, we are still seeking for knowledge. We are still seeking to learn and get more and more information, because the learning never ever stops at level. So for myself, as a prof, and even supervising PhD and MSc student and teaching at the university, I have many publications. The way for me to learning, if it is a new subject, some courses or some, what we call it, training courses is new for me, I will attend it like this course now. Okay? But in addition, by the way, what we get it, for me it is not something new, because I have an experience.
Yep.
But I found it is interesting, for example, last year I've been attending, course about what they call it, result-based management tools, which is, I found it is very good actually course, which helped me, especially to set what we call it logical frame for blocks that work in good order. But in a scientific way, as a researcher, and even always I get learning from books, from journals. I keep updating the journal with the new scientific publication, with the new scientific finding. Okay, and what's helped me even to keep always looking for this new information, scientific information, because I'm deeply involved in the research. If you are doing research, that means you can't do the research if this is what you do, somebody else do it. You keep yourself deeply involved and searching and getting the new information and new scientific results investigated by the other and published, and you will use it in your research, and you will use it as what you call it direction to go in the right track of your research. That is the most important way for me to learn, and updating always my information and my knowledge. This
Okay.
is first. Second, even I learn myself as agriculture from the farmers themselves. When I've been in the field, I get some information and some aspect from the farmer. It is a new for me, but when I explore on it, when I did that, it's happened with me, I found the farmer is the right way. In some experiment, I need to start, okay, with the threshold for basic.
Yeah.
That it's a big job. But I went to the farmer and he asked me, and he said to me, I go to the farm, I look to the field, I found there's a base. I said, it's still from his experience, still early to do spraying now. After a few days he came back, he said, maybe after 2 days. After 3 to 4 days, he said, it's a time to use a pesticide. Myself, I asked my student to go to the field and count the number of the insect per plant. I use this number of the insect per plant as a basic, for our big research to found the threshold, for this space.
Okay.
And I found, the view of the farmer was very wise, because he get it from the experience, not from scientific way, but from the experience. So even me, I learn from the farmer.
Yeah.
I learn from the other.
So you're learning in multiple ways, right?
Yeah.
You're learning multiple ways from readings. You're learning from experts within the area to try and build up knowledge.
And from communication,
Yeah.
communication with the other, yes.
Yeah.
There's many ways of learning, not only, reading, communication, farmer, and even, the life itself.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else like to, any one more before we move on? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think I have to summarize this. In general, for everybody, teachers or anybody has to learn. First of all, has to think what the area we like, what topics he would like to know about it. So this is the first thing he has to think. If there is no thinking, no learning.
Yeah.
Then after that, he has to read books, journals, articles, internet, any other way in order to our resources to get the information about what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Then the next step is to do search with others, search with the community, search with experience, people with high experience in that field. After that, he can write.
Yeah.
He can write. So in this way, he will get a good learning.
Okay. So all of this that was explained here from everybody, it's all very active learning, right? It's all very active. We're doing things. And we can also see that there's variations from how different people here are actually learning. We all don't learn the exact same way. Yeah. So for some of us, we'll seek out people who are experts in the area to give us an overview first. For some of us, we go to textbooks or journal articles first. For some of us, we'll go to videos. For me, I often like to go to a video to find something out to help me understand before I then go to a textbook. And it then means that I can understand the basic concept, the core concept, before I start finding all the jargon in the textbooks, right? Academic textbooks tends to be filled with lots of jargon. So that helps me kind of cut through some of that. So what it tells us is that people learn differently, right? Some people are very visual learners, some people prefer just to read, some people prefer to be very passive learners. But if you think about university in the main, now sometimes we don't do it, but in the main, we have lectures, right? And basically what happens is we have, like you said earlier, 50-minute lectures, but sometimes we have 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour lectures, yeah? The instructor stands where I am up here, might even be worse, stands behind the lectern, and we just lecture at the students, yeah, for that length of time. And it's very passive, right? It's very passive. But it doesn't allow us to communicate. It doesn't allow us to discuss. It doesn't allow us to analyze things and talk to each other and seek out that expert's opinion and ask questions. It's a very one-dimensional way of teaching, but that tends to be just simply the way that we do it, right? And again, this is something that I do with my students. I ask them to do this activity again and just tell me, how do you learn? Map it out, show me. What do you actually do? Where do you go to learn? I then take what they have done and I then show them how I'm going to set up my classes in a way that meets all of your needs. I'm going to provide videos after class for maybe experts, so I might link to expert videos on YouTube. I'm going to provide audio files through podcasts. I'm going to provide lectures, obviously, because they come to class. I might then provide summary lectures online as well, depending on how they're telling me that they learn. And obviously, I provide readings, journal articles, textbooks. So I try and show them that I'm varying it depending on your style of learning to try and help and make sure that you are getting through some of this process. And what we often find is that during learning, Meyer and Land tell us that there's these threshold concepts. And I think somebody this side of the room kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. And basically what they're getting at with this is that there's basics in all of our disciplines, right? There's basics that students must know, that they must understand before they're able to move on to the next stage, yeah? And what Meyer and Land are saying there, that's the threshold concept. So if I think of my discipline, marketing, then probably any other marketers that are in the room, probably they would agree with me that one of the basic threshold concepts in marketing would be understanding the 4 Ps of marketing, right? Our product, price, place, promotion. That's basic. Now, if students don't understand that, then it's very difficult for us to build upon that, take them into the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th years. Even more so if we're in the postgraduate level. Now, if we think about other disciplines, maybe we think about mathematics. If we can't do basic equations, then we're not going to be able to go on to do regression analysis or whatever other type of mathematical analysis that we'll do. But what they highlight to us from their research is that students often reach what's called a liminal state of learning. You might have heard the concept before. And basically what this is a glass ceiling. And they can't smash through that glass ceiling. And that's because they've not understood the threshold concept of the discipline, right? They've not understood that basic element of the discipline. So what Meyer and Land suggests to us that we do is that we decode our disciplines so that we break it down and understand, well, what actually are the key concepts that we must understand in our discipline to make sure that our students don't face that element of liminal learning. They get beyond that. And this is something that's really important. And again, it's something that I try to do to make sure that before the start of the semester, I know whatever it is that I'm teaching, that what those key things, what those basic threshold concepts that students must know so that they don't face this point of liminal learning. And what Meyer and Land do is they provide us with a bit of a methodology in terms of how to do this decoding process. And as shown there on the slide, so they have 7 different steps here. The first step that they take is, well, what is the bottleneck to learning in this class? And from that, what they mean is we should identify a place in the course where many students encounter obstacles, bottlenecks, to mastering the material, right? So it's trying to identify those key points. The second step that they then suggest is, well, what is it that experts do within our field? And that might help us to bring in some sort of example to show students, well, this is what experts do within our area, within our particular discipline. So what I would like us to do, I appreciate there's a break in 4 minutes, but what I would like us to do is just start thinking about these things, and then we'll come back in and we'll pick it up again. I'll leave that there on the board. I've got this sheet here, which I'll hand out to you, and I would like you to have a look through it. I've also got the initial part of the article of where this actually comes from, Meyer and Land's article. It's only that size, right? It's only 1.5 pages. It's not the full article. If you do want to find the full article, then the reference is there on the front. But I'd like to pass this out to you and pass this one out to you. It gives a really nice, short summary of the concept, the threshold concept, with a really nice example there as well. And then from that, when we come back in, if we can have a think about, have you ever experienced this liminal state of learning in your own learning, anything that you've tried to learn? And what might be a threshold concept in your discipline? And lastly and importantly, how do we recognise it? And how do we support liminality to help students through some of these threshold concepts? So once we've had a look at this methodological chart and have a look at this short summary of the article, when we come back in, just in your teams again, just simply discussing this, just getting the ideas and sharing with each other any threshold concepts that you think might exist in your areas and how you can help students to overcome some of these things. So brainstorming different ideas to help us through this. So we'll hand these two things out to you just now. Like I said, a few minutes. Hopefully we can read through some of the stuff. And then once we come back in, we'll have a go at some of that discussion. Okay, so I'm a little bit conscious of time, so I want us to move on. But hopefully this gave us the opportunity to have a think about what are some of the key threshold concepts within each of your own individual disciplines. Now, this isn't something that is new, or this isn't something that is groundbreaking. Wow, this is very different. I'm just really trying to highlight to us that this is something that is relatively important for us. A couple of the past sessions, a number of participants had said to me that they often struggle when they have a set of students that they feel don't have the knowledge that they should have coming into their class, right? And that's a challenge that we often face at university all around the world, right? We often find students come to our class without the knowledge that we expect them maybe to have, particularly for new students. Particularly new students come into that first year level. So this can be a really nice way of making sure that we get these students up to the level that they should be at, or we hope that they should already be at. So just really kind of highlighting it to us again and getting us thinking about some of this stuff. So what I want to move on to and spend the rest of the session to 11:30 on is thinking about these different learning theories here. Now, a lot of these theories have been borrowed from other disciplines, maybe it being psychology mainly, and taken into the context of higher education. So they're not necessarily new, but they are newer in terms of our understanding of learning within higher education. So if we just go through them and highlight them from a very high level kind of perspective in explaining them. The behaviourist theory is very much about reinforcement, right? It's about us reinforcing the topic area that we're teaching. And that tends to be the way that we do it when we are delivering lectures, right? It's all about reinforcement. We keep giving same examples about a particular topic throughout the whole lecture, yeah? Based on our learning objectives. The second one there, the cognitive and constructivist approach, and a couple of you had mentioned that that's actually how you learn, and particularly yourself, where you're pulling on your own experiences and you're building on experiences of each other. And effectively, that's what we're doing today with a lot of this group discussion. So we're pulling on experiences of each other to construct that learning process, right? Social learning is morely where we have interventions during our learning process. So the lecturer or the instructor becomes more of a facilitator in discussion. So it's more about intervening when they see that the student needs to move on to the next stage, or helping them to move on to that next stage. And the self and humanistic approach is much more about that self-awareness, much more about self-encouragement, to encourage students to actually learn within what we maybe call a bit more of a safe environment. So what I would like us to do is, in our teams, I'd like us to create a teaching activity based on one of these learning styles. Now, the teaching activity can be anything, right? So it might be a teaching activity from your discipline, or it might be just something generally that you're interested in, but it should be based on one of the learning theories. What I'm going to do is assign the learning theory to each of the different tables, right? So we'll all have a different learning theory. So for instance, you might be behaviouralist table, you might be a constructivist table, you might be social table, and so on, right? And then after we have come up with our teaching activity, I will get us all to mix, yeah? So we're using a bit of jigsaw learning and jigsaw grouping. So one person from one group moves to the next, one from there moves to the next, the other one moves to, so we're all then mixed up, and we teach that activity to the new group. Yeah, we teach that activity from our original group to our new group, and then we learn from the other teaching activity from the other people in our new group. I'll explain it a little bit more once we get to that stage. For now, what I want us to do is we'll hand out the different learning styles, create that teaching activity, read through it, discuss it, create the teaching activity, and then we'll move on to the next stage, and I'll give a bit more instruction at that next stage. It is important that we create that teaching activity so that you have something to actually discuss and teach at the next stage, right? So I'll start handing these out just now. So like I say, each group will have a different learning style. That's what we'll do. So let me give you an example, right? So if you're creating a teaching activity based on one of your learning styles, so for instance, if I happen to be given the behaviouralist learning style, I might teach an activity based on marketing, right? It's my subject area. So I might then take, again, the 4 Ps of marketing: product, price, place, and promotion. And I might teach an activity, go to a group and tell them, give them an example of a successful company that manages their 4 Ps very, very well, yeah? I then give a second example of a successful company managing their 4 Ps well again. And then I ask the students, so the other participants within my group, to give me an example of a company that successfully manages their 4 Ps, okay? So that's an example of doing a teaching activity based on the behaviouralist learning theory. So for some of you might be in mathematics, you might take your learning theory, and again, if it was behaviouralist, you might show, you might explain an equation, explain another equation that's very similar again, and then ask your students or your participants then to do or complete an equation, right? So that's the type of activity that I'm looking for you to set up. So thinking about what can I take to teach another group based on my learning style, okay? And we should then start to see that there's different types of teaching, different types of learning based on what it is that we're doing, based on our actual learning style that we've been assigned, okay? Make sense?